How's your week?
Oh, went well. Just uh, that worked well, but a couple things stood out, and like Beyond Meat and the some of the SaaS stocks that went. I kind of saw that coming, but I got Snow, which was good. D Dog was a little better, but wish I would have gotten that one. And then the Carvana thing, kind of went with my gut on that and didn't do the 3 day rule, but it worked.
Yeah, no, your timing was perfect. I didn't play that one. I got my ass kicked Monday, Tuesday, to be honest with you. And after the initial punches on Tuesday, I was like, I'm just buying SQQ. I'm done with this. So that brought me back a little
Yeah,
bit. It brought me back a little bit. The Stitch Fix thesis worked out real well. I just trusted that, and then I kind of played some stuff I trusted at the end of the week. I got real lucky with Momo, of course. Um, but other than that, it was just a. I don't like. I said it a few times in chat, and I was joking, but whatever you saw, I don't like when you see sideways, because it
yeah.
doesn't work for me. But you definitely identified something was different last week, and for what I do, it definitely affected it. Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and well, and a good example too is so Enphase just actually really I killed that on the puts on that on Monday, Tuesday, dropped like 9% or something. And but I mean, it's also still in its uptrend.
yeah,
So it's not like it just okay, we're done. Like when you look at the daily on it, it's still looks good and it bounces back. It hit 300 and just completely flipped back and now it's back at 320. So yeah, so that's just an example of you kind of play the pullback, but don't get too in love with it as like, oh, we're going to 240 like I see on Twitter from people. But
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that was last what 2 months ago when you called the 250 mounts. Yeah.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
it seems like you're figuring out more. I mean, because we started off the Oxy and then Coin, and it seems like we're moving to other ones now, and Enphase might be a candidate. But once you get those winners, you kind of just stick with what you see, um, and
Yeah, and I've noticed too. This is something about especially people who read flow, and I messaged you this the other day that are they're really late a lot of times, and they try to catch a repeat of a move that happened that you could have seen earlier. So they did that with like Carvana back when had that huge squeeze to 50 or whatever,
yeah,
and they were thinking like, oh, here it's going to do this again, and it just completely broke down and went the other way. Um, Snow saying I saw the same kind of thing where it makes this move and was great off of our 135 level, and then people try to pile in after that because they see all this flow that came in, and it's just an example. Just they're just not digging into it. They're not really putting the work in. They're just grabbing what pops out at them after the move's already going on. So, and that kind of momentum trading is you don't have much of an edge when you're doing that. They can work, but they can go against you pretty quickly too.
no, that I think that's my hatred for Spy. Like you can play Spy. I mean, it's not like impossible, but there's definitely safer stuff. It just takes work, and the reason Spy is played is exactly what you said. In my opinion, why Spy is played
Yeah,
by a lot of people is because they're playing the same ticker. It doesn't really get news besides the overall news. You don't have to like search for it. It's just there. And then they get real lazy and give you 37 levels a day and um,
yeah,
but yeah, it seems like that's why people always gravitated to Spy is they just got lazy, whether they won or lost, or got greedy or fearful. It was just the overall. I don't want to do the work.
yeah,
That pushes you to Spy. In my that's just my opinion. This is kind of what I've always seen. Because you take a guy like LB, right, and he'll when he loses, he just jumps around. He'll go to
yeah.
OTC, large caps, shitty pennies. He'll just throw jabs, but at least there's still work ethic there. And a lot of these guys don't have it. Um, I don't want to say no names, but
Yeah, definitely.
there's a,
I mean, I was in LB's room for a while when he
yeah,
had, I don't know if he still has one, but yeah, with Spy, he was at least kind of patient about it.
yeah,
Like it would hit a pretty key level if he called a reversal and and did pretty well. But yeah, I mean, he gets frustrated when he wants to be in penny stocks. That's what he wants to be
oh,
in,
100%.
and
Who doesn't?
and when that yeah when that's not working, he gets a little annoyed.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah.
Although my favorite ones right now are the college kids that are traveling that were like living in apartments last year, and they're like in India and Dubai, and they all got $150 sub rooms.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty obvious what's going on there, in my opinion.
Right.
But they
Right.
just call spy, right? They're spy traders now. Um, and when they were with Atlas, they were not spy traders; they were penny traders. It's just interesting to me.
Absolutely. And yeah, the rooms where it gets so noisy that where they have four or five different people
Yeah.
calling spy, and they
Oh
have
God.
opposite
Oh God.
takes on it. But yet, they'll post all the gains from the room from the person who's right, even
Yeah.
though there's people opposite each other all day long.
Yeah.
So
Sleight of
yeah,
hands, that sleight of hand stuff. That's what I like about
yeah,
our journey is because I mean the stuff that I like being early, doing the work, playing the repeat winners. I mean a ton of stuff as it rubs off on the people you're around, and I mean I see it in you, see it in Goose, and
yeah,
then vice versa. I've learned so much. I mean I didn't even know really to watch option flow before I met you. You know I mean I knew about it obviously, but I didn't know that I could decipher it and use it to my advantage at all, um, or that I even should be aware of it. Um, and I do now, probably more than I do spy. Right? Like I don't ask where
yeah,
spy
yeah,
is; I ask where the option flow is. So, um, yeah, no, I like it a lot. Just
yeah.
interesting.
And I think too, if I mean the way our timestamps work, it's like you know nobody's out pumping Veil or getting fresh
No.
pet a month early or whatever. It's just an example. And I have people message me about that like you find the weirdest stuff, but it works. And it's just because of those option filters. But
You literally
yeah,
should
yeah,
just type. You should type back, "I'm a real trader." That's all you should
yeah,
type back. I mean, that's all you should say because that's the truth of the matter. I mean, it really is. It really is. And when we get a better market, you'll see these guys switch and they'll put on a better show. They will.
yeah,
They
yeah.
really will. They'll. Yeah. Um, Spy last week did not go up.
Yeah. I mean, I to me Monday Tuesday kind of sealed the deal on that
Okay.
because there was I think we were in a Fed blackout or something like there wasn't much going on with that. There was the data Friday, but yeah, I mean it just could not really recover from that initial jolt down, and they kind of kept it pinned too. I mean they really were not looking to have it test that 390 number, which I think will be a big key this week. Uh, so a lot of people frustrated late in the week trying to trade SPY, talking about chop and manipulation and all that. But really, it just was all about pinning it at 395. Not unusual for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's I had 395. You had 398. So I mean, we were right there. Our top ends were in the 410s, the 14s. Sorry. Which, like you said, if it didn't happen out the gate, so there really was no chance of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
The yeah pre market Monday settled that too.
yeah, so what do you? I mean, you obviously have a little more focus right now. I mean, because you nailed last week. What do you see this week? I tend to go that way, right? You go with the hot hand. You let the pitcher pitch another inning.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that obviously the CPI and then the FOMC are so crucial to what's going to happen. But within the context of those days, the moves can be very dramatic, and then a lot of times. it's short lived, and whichever direction it went, it'll kind of come back. Um, so I don't know that I really suspect a kind of sustained um, breakout in either direction based on this. If it were to break under 390, I think you would see um, market makers kind of chase the downside a bit. So I'm gonna say like
No,
387
he's already pulling
is
numbers. Hold up.
is kind of my
387. Downside?
uh, my downside, yeah. And I really it's hard to say. Like the upside, I think it could break through this number, but again, I think it'll be kind of short lived. Is 405 um, is my top end. But I mean, if they just kind of blow the doors off being dovish, it could go to that 410, 412 level easily. But again, I don't know that it'll last up there very long. So I'm just gonna say 405, and if it breaks through, that's gravy.
Nice, nice. I'm 402 on the top. I don't know how far down I want to go. To be honest, and I think we just I think we have a pretty big candle this week. I think we're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
continue down, and then hopefully that turns back around. But I'm gonna go a little lower. What's my line here? Hold on, let me pull this out. I got 370, but I'm not going that low. That's too low. Um, let's go like let's go 375. Let's do that. Let's do a higher low there. I like that. So 375 to
So
402. So I got a little bit more burn out the beginning of the week. As I'm assuming that's where you see it too, right? You see it's continuing.
uh, yeah, I do. And I think that if one thing I would say, um, not financial advice. I'll do that stupid caveat. But
Oh yeah.
if you want to play the downside for the Fed stuff, um, be careful early in the day because a lot of times it will just the algos will just kind of grind it up slowly, and then you get to your like equilibrium, and then it's like okay, now we're on, now it's on, and so you want to be give yourself a lot of extra time on contracts. I wouldn't be like zero DTE or something because a lot of times when there's going to be a big event, everyone knows about it. The that day itself is kind of slow, and not much is going to happen until you get to that big event, and then like it's on. So yeah, that's one thing I would say. So by the way, with your downside number, that to me, you want to look at Apple. I mean, not necessarily you, but like that's going to put Apple below 140, which
Sure.
could really accelerate to the downside, and you could see Apple back actually go to 130 this week. So if we get the downside scenario you're talking about, Apple's going to be down in that 128, 130 range. And I bring that up because I think that's actually a really good spot to start thinking about Apple the other way. And it'll depend on kind of what I see in the flow and all that. Flow's really noisy in that one, but that 140 number has been very well defended. Um, but your scenario has to break it because I mean Apple's such a big part of SPY as it is. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well.
I'm giving you 129.69. What color you want?
Purple. Purple.
Perfect. And we give him this guy right here. Bam. That's more of a pink, but still. All right, yeah. So there's that line. That's actually the last low. I don't know what's this January, February, March, April, May, June. The June low on Apple's like 129.60, right in that range.
Yeah.
So I mean that's pretty much the pullback you're talking about, which is extreme on a week. So yeah, so we'll monitor that. Totally, that I like that thesis.
Yeah,
Um,
and by on the June lows, which we were really on before anybody, there are stocks where that broke down and doesn't mean as much. But
sure.
Apple's one where it's still a very significant level, and in my opinion. So
Oh,
yeah, definitely want to watch that.
my advice on that, or a little trick of the trade on that, and that most people just it takes years for them to understand for some reason. So it's like my grandpa that teaches you how to turn a wrench. Here, it's pretty simple though. The longer it stays in a range or above a level, the stronger it is.
Yeah,
So when we tested something in June and it got tested again and failed in October, like you don't trust that. Like you want it to sit above that and hopefully at its own level, maybe 5% above that level. That's a good spot usually for 6 months. I mean, that's
yeah,
really what you want. If not, I would be day trading that stock regardless. It's not something you should be holding on to or or swinging even, to be honest. Um, but Apple also um, it's the last of that 20% we've been talking about for the last 3 months. It's still got to happen if you're a bear or if you think we're correcting in any way or that we're going to go through a recession, Apple has to take the hit at some point in time. It just does.
yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty um, of issues they're having in China, or moving to India, or building chips in the U.S. Like there's plenty of news that can help push that move, even though the news itself, long term for Apple, doesn't really amount to much. You know what I mean? Like they so it's I don't want to say FUD. I don't really like that term, but it's kind of like they're legitimate issues,
Sure.
but they're issues that in a different market wouldn't impact it as much as they will with if we get some acceleration down.
Yeah, because
So I want to.
people can't look
Oh,
past
go
the
ahead.
tip of their nose right now. That's a lot. You got to understand that. Like people, if
Yeah,
they can't look more than 3 weeks ahead, so they can't look past a bad event currently. It's that simple.
yeah, and this is something I put in my notes for the upside on a lot of these stocks is the buyers coming in for 2025 and looking at what positions are they opening for 2025, what does
Okay.
that look like, and that's so far out that some downside of 10-15% in a lot of these stocks isn't really going to matter for that
Sure.
because I think these are starters. And well, I know they're starters because no one was buying these before. So I look at something like, getting into a specific ticker, which I'll get into more later, but something like Zoom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for 2025, if they've got contracts 40-50% out of the money, and it's like, damn, that's a lot. Well, that number, not coincidentally,
His volume
matches
profile.
up to where it was in July
Yeah.
in the last bear market rally.
Yeah.
So it's if we get another rally, those contracts will do well. If if they want to keep some and the market actually reverses between now and 2025, which it probably will, those will do well as well. So I can look at Zoom like right now and be like, this looks kind of like crap. I think 70 is going to break down. It's going to go to 62. But within the context of a 2025 leap, that really does not that much. So
Okay. Okay.
that it really, for me, when I'm reading flow, the two biggest keys are those, like the time frame, and what the strikes they're hitting there and how that matches up to previous levels, and then also market caps, because that's a big key to option flow too, because depending on market cap size, it changes how they approach these stocks, and you want to account for that as well.
Definitely. Definitely. I think I had it stuck in my head too and I lost it. Let's just roll right into that though, because it's kind of on the same page. So these 2025 things, we do have the Feds like speaking this week. To me, that's kind of a. There's no way they're not. It's not coincidental. But
Yeah.
is the story that we're gonna hit the ground running, or is the story that 2023 is gonna be the big dip year and these guys are just getting on the right side of it, like trying to be on the other side of it because they see that coming?
I
Like which
I
one is
think
it?
that it's bullish, but tentatively bullish. Like, so if the market just rips and goes crazy, and we start a big rally, they're in an absolute perfect position, and they'll double those leaps on this rally. Um, but if not, if the market does dip, they can weather that, and I to me it indicates they expect a relatively quick recovery, so that we're not going to just break down to a new level and linger there like that. Those buys don't say that to me. So and a lot of this stuff is short term bearish too. So I think there is kind of an expectation of a drop this week, but we've seen it before. You get this dramatic drop on CPI or something like that, and the market completely reverses in one day and makes like a 5% move from down 2% to up 3%. So, so there is a scenario for that. So yeah, so tentatively bullish. Things go bad, who cares? Plenty of time. But if things go well, those hit right away, and they could roll them, or just cash them out or do whatever with them.
I don't know if I might be speaking too soon, but I think we'll find out this week for sure. But the hot numbers, um, the good numbers that are bad, bad numbers that are
Yeah,
good, the good thing, that's slowly not having the same effect. Like it's getting less reactionary. And then some things it's not affecting at all. Where before it would just drag down. I mean, remember like when they were just talking about raising interest rates, like we were like a battered wife in the corner about to get hit. Like we were just going down and down and down
yeah.
and down and down and down and down, like for days on end. That was back in April, May, before they started hitting us with the rates. And I think we're just getting to the point to where it, it's not as it's not as strong either way. And I could be wrong. I
Yeah,
could just be reading this last CPI this last week because I thought we were gonna like really test some floors, but we held like that. And SPY is a great example. We held a level that pretty much has been there all month. And the news wasn't great, really. It really wasn't great in my opinion. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think I said last week that of all the scenarios for what can happen intraday, that trend days down, in my opinion, are going to be the most rare of what we're going to see. And that doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But what I mean by that is when you get a big breakdown in pre-market on SPY based on data or whatever, the idea that from there is going to break down another 2% on the day, like we had months ago, like that is not as likely these days. So just something to be careful of. And like chasing puts is the lowest percentage trade that you can try right now, in my opinion.
if you're in this room and you don't understand that yet on that part, like I don't know what to do for you because I mean that's like a every other week reminder. Like it's
Yeah,
obviously a post-it note for you. Like yeah, especially when it comes to the big ETFs.
yeah.
Your QQQ spy. Do you play QQQ much anymore?
I do. Yeah, I just mainly it's I have it in the background while I'm watching other setups, and I'll just hit it if it's easy.
SQQ is the easy one.
Yeah, yeah. That
I'm
one, you can just grab shares and just wait out all this Fed stuff and do well.
Yeah, it's good when it's bad. It's good when it's slow.
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about oil, so let's do a little bit of that here.
Yeah. So, talked last week about oil and how there was this divergence where the stocks were still priced pretty high, and oil itself was dipping significantly, and so it's all the way down 71 now, and
Biden's buying.
yeah. So I think that could be a distinct possibility that people chasing downside now are going to get burned pretty bad,
Yeah.
because a lot of the stocks did come down, but not really disastrously so. Like they didn't completely break down from the setup that they've been in for months. I mean, Oxy at at 62 is, I mean, that's nothing. That's fine. That's just you look at where it's been. It could dip to 56, and I think still be. I'd still be kind of bullish on it. If it were to break down below that and get into like 52, 48, that's kind of a different scenario. But yeah, so I'm looking for a bounce on Oxy basically, and that would help out some of these other ones. Now, like we've said, there are ones that and you mentioned this specifically, and you nailed it, Devon. So I have a bigger zone on Devon than I do Oxy, from like 74 down to like 56, and this could dip all the way to 56, I think, and but still bounce back from that. So anyway, everybody's piling into oil. Bears. I'm not a big guy on going inverse sentiment, but in this case, I think at this point they're chasing, and we do see some relief there.
I got a question off the rip for that the oil topic in general. How low do you see us going? Like, do you see us going into the 60s?
I do think that's possible, but I don't think it'll last very long. So
Okay,
I think it
okay.
dipped to like 60, 68, 69 is going to get bought up pretty quickly.
And you see us taking off again? I'm talking on
Yeah.
the
So
oil prices in general. The oil prices.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think finding some equilibrium in the 76 to 84
upper
area is
70 range.
kind of what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the other one will probably be where the volatility's at in the first quarter next year. The old natty,
Yeah.
the old nat ice.
Yeah.
College. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, nice. I like that. You got anything else? I know we didn't write a topic list down. You got anything else you want to throw out there?
Um, yeah.
News
So
wise. You.
crypto again is in this
I apologize.
scenario
I
where,
apologize, chat. I apologize, chat. Go ahead.
uh, yeah, Bitcoin isn't really doing much right now, and could kind of go either way. But the stocks themselves are
Okay.
still having these huge ranges. But until coins back down at its all time low, but until it breaks down below 40, I don't see, like, I think it'll keep bouncing. If it can hold 40, it's gonna keep bouncing, and then I think it's gonna happen regardless of what crypto's doing. We need another news catalyst in crypto. It probably will be bad, before the actual Bitcoin price will drop. But there's still opportunities there, and um, like intraday, I caught the bounce on coin 2 days ago, and then it came right back down. But that's going to be kind of what it is. I would not swing any of these right now, but there's going to be little jolts here and there. I mean, Mara is at $5. Is it going to break down below that? Very well could, but very hard to short it down here too, unless it really gets some big momentum to the downside. So I just would say, like, there's going to be a big range on these. Um, be cautious, and that the rallies can be significant, but won't last very long. That's kind of my take on crypto.
Hey, you can like crypto just because I hate it. I'm glad we finally found a chocolate and vanilla ice cream.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, um, I don't want to throw out too much like individual stock information here, but I do want to
yeah,
touch base on the the sector part of it that I think you nailed months ago. That really helped me. There you got to understand that there's the exchanges, there's the miners, there's guys that just own a bunch of coin. You got to kind of understand which the stock's doing and how they make money, because those are going to be the better opportunities when they do see upside. And I think
yeah,
you're onto a lot of them currently. Um, there will be a time that I like coin, and that'll be at or below book value, and we'll probably talk about that in the other chat. But I really still see this. Um, like, I think we're going to get interest rate news good news before we get crypto good news. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's where
but
I'm
yeah,
at. That's
crypto
where I'm
needs
at.
that though. I think it we've really seen that it is not an inflation hedge. It's not any of that crap that they talked about. It needs people with, extra money and cheap debt that they can be speculative and pile back into crypto and try to catch the next bull run. And that's all it is. All of this stuff about saving the world and third world country currency and like all that stuff is just noise compared to what crypto really is, which it just needs a bunch of retail money to pile in and for big institutions to move in and become the new exchanges. And that to me is what's going to take shape with it.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty good conversation with a buddy that's a crypto bro, the basically lack of better terms, and that those guys see ever ending value in it. But
Yeah,
the problem right now is it's not consumer ready. I mean that's the overall way to put it, but it's just not ready for the consumer. Like, I mean, what ended our argument or debate that we were having was like, all right, I got $100 here. These coins, these cardio ADA coins, are fucking um, 30 cents a piece. Show me how to put them in my pocket. Show me how to put those coins,
yeah,
actual coins, and it's not easy. I mean, for him it was easy because he's done it like the entire time, right? Like
right.
He played Nintendo, and now we're on the Nintendo 64 version. But I need the
Yeah,
Xbox. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do it until we have something that's pretty seamless, where I can talk to my friends online and stuff like. It's just not the same, and until it's perceived that it's just consumer ready and a little safety, I think it's going to have bumps in the road. There will be a time where it gets too cheap, though, right? That's what happens with
oh,
everything.
oh yeah, yeah, right. And I'm with you. The whole cold storage thing. It's good advice, but it's just too hard to do. And you have someone like, okay, copy and paste your you know 72 character wallet key into this text box, and it's gonna move your crypto to your USB drive, and then go put your USB drive in your gun safe. And I just that's not for the everyday person. And yeah, so that's gonna need to happen. And then also secondary thing, all these amateur mining rigs and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah.
um, like they're all toast, and this is gonna impact stocks like Nvidia, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah, that's a good call, P. That's a really good
because
call.
it was such a big driver for increased prices on all that stuff.
Yeah.
So as those really high quality used rigs start to hit eBay and stuff like that, that's gonna hurt them a lot.
I don't know how I see it, but I seen some. It was TikTok, Instagram, Facebook video thing, and it was some dude, and he was like, "I'm beyond," because it's like the trader kids. It's like
Yeah,
it's almost like a strap boy. But this guy was like, "I'm gonna be honest. I'm back here working at the convenience store," and
yep, yep. I saw that one.
yeah, he went over what he spent and what he could sell it for now, and it was interesting to me, um, the equipment, just I mean,
Yeah, yeah. He was, he was down like 80, 100K,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it wasn't like he was down just because like value of coins went down. He was
no
talking mostly about
equipment,
equipment. And
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that just kind of seems like the generational thing. Whatever these kids get hyped on, whether it's kind of started with like shoes, but the NFTs and crypto and the equipment, like whatever they get hyped on, it gets overvalued for a year or two, and then they go find a new toy.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's kind of off topic, but got anything else here? If not, I want to get to work.
Um,
Anything
real
else?
quick, let me oh yeah, so copper still very strong. The market does pull back. You could see some significant pullbacks in like X, CLF, and stuff like that. But what I actually would want to see if the market has a really bad week is for 350 to hold on copper.
Over.
Because if
Okay.
that happens, I think we're still
Are,
overall bullish on it. So
are we gonna
that's
get?
a number to watch as well.
Are we gonna get into a spot where that blows up, where we got like a five, and then things are crazy? Like it does that in
So
oil.
if copper goes through 4 with some momentum, that's where you would see that,
Do you
and
think that's going
it could
on?
head back up to 5.
Is that a possibility right now? Are we like about 50-50 on that, or is that like
Um,
nah?
oh yeah, it's definitely a possibility. It gave an attempt at it in mid November, pulled back, and is kind of charging up again. So uh, yeah, this is the week that would punch through 4
Four. Okay.
if we get positive news.
Well, we
There,
need a
it's set up to happen.
nah. This is the 2022 market. We need a copper plant fire.
Yeah, right.
Jeez. Yeah. No. Yeah. I appreciate that. You and the flipping metals, materials, and energies, and the boring stocks I always talk about. They're so great.
Yeah,
Val mention. All right.
yeah.
Let's switch to the work.